Madul Ngal Kontong, Omar Wally. So today we are coming from New York. I ambushed somebody here, another American. So along the way, I caught up with the person and said, of course, let's have it's more of a conversation about current issues happening. Of course, he does it introduction, but Mojamayalon Lamin Sanneh of OIC, UDP, and he has been in and out of the country and so on. Lamin, thank you so much for this time. I know it was a very short notice, but I'm like, let's have a conversation, and you're like, okay, let's go ahead. Thank you so much for this.
Omar,
yeah. Okay, then you let me know if the sound is good enough and so on, because Medaming is kind of echoing, but you let me know. So, I know you are aware of the country, but Kujamala Keka Bangkok at the moment. But one of the main issues now is the Jamila Asepso, as a Gambian, as a politician, when this expose came out, what came to mind? Come, Munekela force reaction on it.
First, well, disappointment al demanding. Njigilate al demanding.
Okay.
Bao ngamin read. Namara aman sene abake. Andala mirodo. D'autres comme mi anko malo. Bare min kuma ata je ntefe akata nyame. Filo kata nyame. Namara njigita minna nunje na filo to pour man sakunda. Mamena mamuso. So kata jikilate bari nakarwa. Fula nyaw ni si ba na bekela. To wabo ka fa na transparent.
Yeah.
And I said mo be nyanda non ne munni mun be wafika dira fasa ni basa ni do na ni si ba na bekela mo sa funda fa na bunda do bi mi yango wala marka ka masakunda wala so wafi merci.
So I think you need to, somebody is saying they cannot hear you. I think you need to, even yellow voice when you demanding for so that we can.
Yeah. So coming forward, Masakunda Bunda so the Mialango, Masakunda property milita, 94, Jambe from a property milita, Minike Waf, Ubunda Bijalani, Bikafu, MRC. Namra will for the Dagan Yantakan Minion Waffle. Namra will from authorized body to me and go. What are responsible to recover funds that belong to the national coffers or the state? So Namra will flow down, declared will flow the Carola. But Handy Kibara of the so Malon, New Wafita, and therefore no Wafi.
Okay. The voice is a little bit low. Okay, so I think we will come closer. Any sign, we will lean towards the speed volume is very low. So it's going to depend on this, because if this is up, you know that the volume is. So, I'm saying, he's the head of state now. When this issue came out now, what do you think Barrow should do?
No, tell him Minibula Wafola, will report who did it. Min to the side, I want to the Molio Kodo Jolly. When this does mean to the be, the community asset.
Yeah.
I don't know, Willie asset legally, because he tender process need. Going for a few look at the Yaman, well, I understand. Is a mobile salon, no work at the Minka for at the Fola, or maybe I can Yama to Kero Yama. But what can I fabric? Could only mean fear that in the Masakunda and case of Kunal, or the matter already. Saying now the look at investigation of Kaju Akadanyame, Pulakana Flanja.
Okay. Well, I'm still going to work on the volume. I don't know. Hanisai, I know people are saying it become way back. So you keep, let me know if it is good or no. So, another thing is going to be yalon political umbo jamano loko. Andum wati. Okay, thank you, Malang. Malang is maybe about good. So, it took a fole, model took a fole when it comes to the election. It's barely 2 years to go. So, but you are always mute about your political ambition. Tell us about why. Why you are not always out there fighting like others are doing.
No. Along the don't party do alfa le bentol bo mi ya ngom fa na la tamindi e jigo min soto ato fo ya tamin hani bi ndengo jigo le soto ato so ala palaso mol ko atene jere tabila nde bo mol la kon ni nga je wato min nga ngo ma nyala tabila ma fa nga mara ma nyala tabila bari mo je folo nde dun diamo siatale bari ndela political ambition o mol ya no kon te mo wasato dem parti de wonte ne wado sita alfa le ya la nyawnya rek mbe ko nde ma wo problème so bar bi ngamara usunu be kende yaran tout souvent kal so ma je way diamo bi sa ko ha usunu nyande bu nyande nyande kala den yalo nyaadon ko e buka tombo ko lafita ko lo be mbulu o ntelem nyindi o no nyaadon ko yo daji ko la bi Gambia nyande sila la fan jube mo si fa mi nyande tamindi la pour yalla bango ma nimbe banen bi mbeyaje corruption no la mbeyaje min keda ifani property mi mafo amanya ne kala lunte bar commission jamaala fana keda Gambia mo ne keda je hanin bi femma mboje so jeune nya ton ko ya ton daga mira aba mo kendo so to min ba ma ko bango dokula eta bango dokula ko ina da finna ne bare be Gambia la jela ya ni amo UDP MPP GGC Gambia ni Gambia mo so to so nimbe ko lafta Gambia la dokula woto nyande mo jubela mi yano kasi nyaton ko yano da banko do
sai yalon ku jama be kering e ko Gambia mu bankul te mengalon ko molka wulle do nim ku keda ye diamo tili kilim fula do ko e bank but don't you think the opposition as well should be held some degree of responsibility comme mo jama kam même akam tele Gambia mo opposition to because inyanda ka baro muda nyafu nyame ma nyafu wonya il faut eti o ko nyaadi
yalo opposition fa so siata dol mi opposition yalla nin kata fayda ci dale ka mama dol man ko pati ite yalla ne dol ka participer le fuli nin Gambia ko wulda mbagatu ko so opposition on role min de wolan ka government put into check kama sekunda jube min manya ya fa nyamanya ye challenge dol ko kele député go mo da yaje len ka kele bari yalla dol da man ka opposition party dol nga fa jan do ya fa jana namara man sekunda ba jube ko ba nin dol da ma ka fo ka fa yidi bin golla Gambia dum ko na wulta ni sifa kita ika chocho tele kilen tele fly ba o manya banko dumal nyanda sonna la ko nimbi la banko bela responsibility la banko di yamu responsibility la ni ko mo Gambia nuti yendo lo Gambia le bari ni Gambia ko de ka fa ko an yidi bin gollam ngamara won nyanda stop la ni ko ma banko do ko ani yidi bi ma sekunda nata mo nyata tara jele pour que ni ka ni ko grami ma wala ya fa alfinde transparency ma sekunda nyata ka transparent ka ho banko dumale mun nekata bari ndanga min Gambia they always react nim fenga da voice story bondi bi na jele ya kayto bondi press release bondi trying to spin ka fa ni follow due process dara so aussi falu amambete ma sekunda nyantale ye proactive ni sifa naketa ye fin ye at least the investigation okay kadu nyemi safa report do fe jamal safa de dum blo chodu la jamal farando woni nyanta findere ya senandi
so do you think there is a disunity opposition will mean be Gambia ida mangol tema niaje kube kudo is going on challenge or barobe kube kudo and get away with it
ha ya lo opposition sifa siata ya lo politico alla jam America jam opposition de le jam ni sa ngo recognize opposition na manga independent particularly bari ya nyaka mingi grassroots level na mulka masukunda chele ida kitira Gambia dum opposition siata de ma fa man sambo so bari parti do bi je wol ngamle ye register do as opposition wol buga active any political so ma fa ko political opposition kuyatal o unité tema bar nga mera jeri nyal mankeli e Gambia nyal mankeli fa parata mo be la fekk ñaatu ko wala problème wala tonati mo be la fekk ñaatu ko
that is a very important because I just want to add to that because niaju be kabirin jamme boraje ngajele mo jamale political party form but munat na yaje ko everybody wants to lead in Gambia is it because because yajele baroka president and they feel you know, the buy is too low, or because more party be able, but it doesn't have even a functioning executive members and the academic minister on the barrel cabinet.
Opportunity. Yeah. So that's what you call opportunity. The opportunity you go mbadum fana la fancy minister. Ninga party lo ni election shikanga dende party ba kilina ni ganyete minister adina. Bari ntanga mara ndata milola. Political manke fentemi anko big wall. It's a daily thing. Lolo goal. Party ka lo ideology la kam. Abuka lo ko left the place of the malla. So ni party lo itale register. Ila ideology. Inyanta wala jela. Ni la ideology maje the other partner to. Ina tita no nyola. So na la miro fatala tita no nyola. But party min ka lo banyan biya jube ikalo la ko madunga lo ngata ngabambu MPP koma. Ni gata ni ganyata be place of the ngata ngata bambu UDP koma. Ni ganyata nga place of but not having election like Bukamama. Killing the Gadiam. Killing the Gadiam. And what the political, what in the political assembly? The neighbors of Jube in the last presidential election. Opposition Jamata, Ilato Yoka, Tarabamu Mokilokoma. You can add it. The Mafua, baby can never play field. Ninka for Patiba, Patin, Nalon, Diam Castle. Patiba, Patino, Naran. Deputy Woman, Mama example. Chairmanship local government example, councillor example, okay? So party bad bijel, party no bijel. So party no janda sonna local party bad bijel. More political musambol. Election no carte file numbers la. So me also wala katambi mu dole bulano. Wala standard rule to la. But Gambia what was national then katlo nyone ne. Wonyanda stop line nungo bango woni.
Jawara ko akoy buka fo keba wuli ngasi ka fayla ko nyori ngasi diamo be siare UDP. So and ning leadership ko for the wati itoka fole yankuba dabo toka fole talib toka fole and many other people. Are you ready for leadership and on what terms and conditions?
No, I want to lead already.
Okay.
So I don't think the question of leadership or whether the president to lead already. Ku jama bi nganya to ngaya de meta nyato ngaya bring I was a head boy at school. So nyato ngaya o beto to patin ko nyato ngaya ngam foy nyato ngo bi jele mo fa moy mala fa ko de mala awla fay de amol wa
na ma interview folon
yo ani nga fa mala na ka mala so it's now kacha okay the BBB na wala de na nyato ngo bi jele tous man kala
okay
ndaba tele ko
come 2026 if Dabo decide go okay I have tried a couple of times I'm going to hand over the baton to the young ones. Of course, you know, Kumamenka for Biko, Chochobe Kumar, because there are so many people who want that position. And there are different camps. So, what is going to be your responsibility here, or your role, when UDP decided to go for somebody, not you?
No. Look, don't party do it. Party mo to mo to go bula wala fo. Mo ngoya nyini fana ela nyanto. Parti dunga parti ndi nim place of ndela nyanta nyina. Constitution wala fo. Ora nyini nyala fana bije.
Yeah.
Mo to tara seri ba ko to singa o mamede. Mo mo ko ke o ma ni tamira mo ba kala. So mo nyanta le ke hakilutu ni ba place do nyina ya jube e ka nyini nyane. Bunya ni horomo kono. Isa ni fana sida mi be ko may si bunya ya horomo. The position of Lamin for you is very clear on this. BBB was on double and the candidate. Now I decide Carbantalola. A party by decide Juana Tamila. Being a blow no more. Near Tamil, Bismillah, near Tamil, Bismillah. But it can in a jar cook a city back for the sinner and that order.
So you are not but okay, there are people many along Ebola and they trying to undermine or back to Sinka. Come Jawara Kamenfo. Is that happening within UDP?
Well, Tafodole, Nina Kaka UDP, Dole Bako to Sinka. But in Kakumon, for the young man from Kama, Dolby about right and they called Ferro Baker or Lankanamada.
What is the one main thing you think will be the thing that will hold UDP together? Because Dolka Memfo sign, not J. Not a catalola, do you think such thing is going to happen if he decides to step aside?
Look, mbota chairmanship ngona 2 years ago jamani safari for example aning jana kuntawur aning jana makat because all substantive was mamurna and we went through the process but Omar did not bring minto mo people don't know yang ko is a good example mo tani sabali asafino so una na nina ra nyen fanando mo le modo to model ko jibula no but the party is going to be questionable.
Barrow Betembo Mento, many people call him a sit-tight dictator. Dolko, single political party that Fontino Dolko is going to be a coalition member Bondila Siranka. What do you think is the way that's going to bring an end to Barrow rule in the Gambia? Like, will a single party be able to remove him, or there should be a coalition to remove him, like it happened to Jame in 2016?
I think dynamics fell into. Yes, UDP is a strong party. Coalition of the Gambia Barrow UDP because of the size. Understand that everywhere it's down the coalition of the so yes, we want to be more inclusive. The more be kumandela yana kafuma na Adam 2026. O processo kachalem. Comme ngam fo doro parti dol bi je ni la jero man jafanyol. Dol bi na jero man kliya. Wala fo kacha na Gambia put first. Na Gambia tamini Gambia sulo tamini nabi. Namra mbo kacha no la d'accord ko Gambia sulo tanyina la. Njikita ko ñi UDP alpha sa kenole. Ngabula non.
So, what do you think is going to be, let's say Barrow win another term? What will be the situation? Because whenever you talk to people, they can complain. Of course, UDP win Masembe, but there was one in half that. NPP also win. So, another 5 years under Barrow, how do you think the country is going to be?
Well, it's tough. You know, today our biggest problem is physical discipline. And Maje Barrow, to be honest with you. Maje, because school katanyame yalong banku maro ferole londo ani hamo iko sabolle la nyoka ye banku samano abukata no kudo koma banku ni ko ya sama moli e ko ke moli on a falo taraje ntedu ngamme nganya nyame infrastructure sila dogo de fango wotem bondela nimbe bondela import substitution wawal ga wona import substitution B, the Fenyaman native from Bantala Bankolka, from Atranka, the Gambia, because we live in Makwela. Because being near Jube, Femenka imported. Near import either $1 or pound or euro per caju. Until Femboka Femwafi Banda, Momosula Dalasola. In that Momosula Dalasola, a Kapataka Funka, Julo Betala, from a Julo Fananjo. So you be on your come. You must have been a magic. You both know to Nadia. Because for the last 3-4 years, bringing another president a second term, my order is so many. I follow from the Nkaflo. And then I must have done more than any better than Kaja, Nkafo Loco, Al Infali. Infrastructure better. What was you? Silo near Doku, and enter Fender provide access to market. That's what I told you. Sade will be a silo bit, the Mafuga Silo Doku. But the Julomin Kata, and then that fund liquidate. Isa Yako Dalasi, President Bedalasiga Asitala, Mano Canal, Tulo Canal, Tupit, everything Canal. Fontoldo Dokuno Gambia. Ningo, at least, Gami import about Talala. So Dalaso for the weight, Betal, below the Dalasi, be it $74, over 75, 76. Maji. Nimfero away from the Maji. Number 2, budget work at Yame. The book of the Paso community in our colony. Prudency could for the Benesola in our priorities, health, education, production, agriculture. But one of them economic falling. So, coming for Baroma Secunda Maje, the strategic positioning Puka address. What in coming the agenda is to build pseudo infrastructure. UDP Masakunda is to build product to make production capacity. Cotton Dolembang, Casualembang, Manolem, because yalla mbe damen to dem bi dunya kata nyame foye loy fay julo buka julo ke batandile après den ka tax system ko nyame comme no buka capital soto ni te tax mi le wala ta siala e ma no sene tuloje be jele ma wala economy ya ko civiliste je abuka gurono atol janjube munen décider wolen si jangoni na ta metro min bele bi pour wala pour projet ko pour Africa kilo pour Gambia but these are private projects so na do metro la bi ko di so for mo jeto so wala baro man so ko naka continue definitely but ko la
sanjali bojang ako nyaton ko kinyanta kala jinjambe rolti amanya naka timiya baake bara amanya naka kuniya baake ni diamo do mo jama kam mem fo wolem ko baro mo kendole bara mol men ya soran wolem problem modi so what do you think is the problem? Is it Barrow or the people surrounding him?
Then I experience. Then I do go kind of stand and say, I'm going to go no, maybe bring more but Majado. But yeah, near Malta do go, they don't have to know for it. What a problem. Near Malta do go. You can't tell them responsible in
So in other words, ineptitude and inefficiency.
Oh yes, absolutely. Incompetence. So who don't have the
So all the time we see defection from one party to another. For Gambia man time was stage because being in more killing at the drum, Yasika, Ecomoba UDP, Yasamba Baroya or NPP, Yasamba NPP, Yasamba Bureau. Modo Frango NPP, Yasamba UDP, or Yasamba Useno Daboya. For Gambia, no for that stage, they should pass that stage and think about something because Gambia, come like politicals should pass that stage than individuals. People are opposition only ruling party are pulling over Karel Nadabi as a defected tenant when we have boiling national issues.
Political maturity level. So for that tempo to be Namara Nakajana and the Killer, the Gambia Bondel and Yamen.
For Gambia to the
Yes. Okay. In Natara financial times, we are bankrupt. And the Julo from Kakolia because of becoming an Abukan si Sakoka Kajulojo. So be near Gambia Jube, na political catch up, na discourse. Bandabaldo, Marisol, Bumalcono. But well, Jata can there. The no Lacaramu. Go. Omar, B. The world is ruled by AI. AI, I mean maths, English, science. Gambia, Nakaram curriculum mojibe. They didn't want to maths pass.
Yes, as well.
So how are we going to be innovative as a country to build an economy?
So in other words, this requires an overhaul of our education system.
Yes, the curriculum. We need to look at it again. Go. One day, last time, I was looking at my son's book, Social Science. We didn't go to school. We were taught petroleum. Munam Gambia.
Yeah.
The one in the first, last Governor General. First, this, that, until he did the job. How many districts have Sefol, Janin. You know the history of your country. Be your master. It is Gambia for it, man of independent Narinadi. So na political nyale tambele bi nimbo da MPP la na da MPP ni yalla ngana ko political mo ideology e buka tara patrioto because of Omar Wally diata nyala o yamane e ka tara patrioto le ideology you see yourself in that it's on that go yes lafta ni marala sifal lafta na economy ke tenne ni na ton ko sifal ben de maranora not be mboda MPP la dara doy on that no what is Zambala Zambala.
So near Jube Fanam, one main thing that always pop up Barola government, ike tumi mana wolem, you know, ike kamola kodola buluma kalam, corruption and so on. What do you think is the best way to put an end to it? Because moka taman sakundare bi saying, I'm just connecting from the patriotism you're talking about because moka da do ko be all what he or she wants is to build a house, like a story building within a short span of time. Munadina, or what is the way forward for that in ensuring that there is, or Barrow should put an end to fighting corruption?
Okay, yeah, what about the corruption near for the Kafala Mansakunda? But one thing in the Mansakunda, Minika Godo did. Faka jina sambe. Namara Gambia no ka kudodi. So corruption on both sides. So when ndol coming for corruption. Corruption is buka buy no 100%. Well, ni mo for ya kene ana la jang. But you have zero tolerance. More la jole be kafula. Yeah, Omar. Let me give you an example. Me and Barandi, the service sector, police lemba, soldier lemba, teacher lemba, nurse lemba, fire service lemba, immigration, name them, custom, name them. You can see. Teacher, Bakarandorola. You can have 5,000. I'm almost 3,000. They look ready, 2,000. And then the pasola. Be Nico Gambian balloon, can I should at least 450 per kilo, $2 1,000 a day. So you need at least what? $30,000 a month. How many Gambian like also be just to maintain a balanced diet? But I'm going to use the Antonio Safari no address. Most of the Albacodo will let State House budget and borrow for Locundula. Not for send a nation, I budget and borrow for Locundula. Put it back. Advisor Jama be the old man of Ashoji, a Bundi. For the finance ministry, il a budget general services me and go man. For every year you can furniture. Il a budget every year furniture. For every year the ministry could. What cost of me you can violate? What violate having the most travel for and some of the expenditure money budget. Crime for corruption. How can you have a budget approved by a National Assembly? You can take money via without the authority of the. Yes, if it is law for now, abundant, because we need to find a way to control government resources.
What do you say to people, many Alanko, their argument is UDP was part of this grand coalition that removed Jammeh, but they did not do anything. If they ask you today, what are you going to do differently? What is UDP going to do? Because you were a part of a government, Mengalonko, a party, Mengalonko, they changed the government and they have key roles in Barola government. But still now those bad laws and so many other things were there. They did not change them. Now those laws, Mengalonko, they were used as campaign tools against Jammeh. Well, those laws are still in place. What is UDP going to do differently in the event that they win election when it comes to issues like that? Or when somebody asks you, but you are part of the government, Alman thinking, what are you going to, why should we vote for you?
No, I mean, look, yes, we were part of the government, I agree. But why were we kicked out? I'm going to go and do Lebanon sabotage. I'm going to go function. I'm going to go a function of a
well, part of the reason, well, that's why I on a simple day.
Yeah. Okay. Who's about vice president? I'm about a trade. Uncle Lamin about local government. Floodgates are open. Yes. Wasn't the end of the day? Yeah. I saw it first time.
You resigned from OIC.
Yes,
what happened?
No,
tell me what happened. Because I know, okay, but I know it's a past event, but was it successful with the event that Gambia hosted? What is your assessment generally?
Nothing for to last time. Tell a view among success because now we'll make a more. Momo, the project will make objectives like it. After Menaji, I'm going to lay Soma. Now will welcome. Most of the day. Momo could have successful. Media I call for it. But Omar will make up. I'm not successful at all.
Gambia Mupankure de Mengalonko is not a very steady country. Gambia is highly divided. What is the way forward to put more differences together and look at the interests, collective interests of the country? Because people often talk about tribe, they also talk about, many other things, but they tend to forget that Electoral mambo rosoro. Kuranko mo problem silol and in current education, proper education, you talk about AI. So what is the way forward for us to put those things and focus on the main issues?
Leadership. In Rwanda, 2007, we went there to buy a government bank to turn it to EcoBank. Fendeminje. But in Yaton Kaya, Paul Kagame had turned around. Dubai, 50 years ago, there's a advantage. Mahmoudi had turned into what? One of the biggest financial hubs today. And now we're going to go world. I can give you a few countries. Okay? Look at what has happened in Zambia, his new leadership. Botswana. Okay? So leadership level. Yalo nyato kaya. Aka finja mare sone andi. Ne nyato go so to me all understand. Abi team will build no lale. As in direct no. Okay? So for nyato ko wole kum mayta back. Mazokunda dokoto. As a decision order. As a more national wole do okay. As a team will build me and capacity BJ for can goal bake no. You can have the finest prince. Leadership will now enter the political will to implement that. One now control, Kebalam Bembulu, the Jigida and Talamiro. Modo Safano, Modo Fanasala, Miro for no, everybody's entitled to your opinion. But in the Lamin said no opinion. B, no, it was not a Mendi. Among the founder, Mojama Biamian for 11 days. Gamino Mina going into a president Pukanama Goro. This is Hakala Purkudokama. Yandaka Washiki on the man's salary. But Banco Canola. Don't be a man who can ask a minister is a salary. You found no. You don't do not build. Molly Buna. You are horrible. You will take a Bunda Bunda Congo. Have to be neighbors. Procagami and Yoleke. Yellow Satifani. Yeah. Two of my colleagues are working in the new government. Well, man can know politician. But if you say that, it's not a Senegal government. You ever make it? So Nyatonka important.
Nyatonka, but you know, for the interest of listeners, Paul Kagame, he is the current president of Rwanda. In his early 30s, he helped to topple a government in Uganda, and he was able to help to topple a government in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And after the genocide in 1994, he became the de facto vice president and the Minister of Defense. So at the time, Pastor Busumungi was the president of Rwanda. So he became, so Anakuya was said, he doesn't have a very good record. This is one thing people argue. I don't want people to, because somebody personally that I spent the sleep on the same bed with, he prevented that guy from seeing his child. This is a guy who went after Adodung, a former general in South Africa. Okay, so the issue here is, most people see him as a tyrant. So do you mean you have to be a little bit twisty to make sure things work like he is doing now? Because to be honest, Anana Kobe, his country is working, even though he doesn't have the best of democracies.
No, look, you have to have both worlds. Yalo Banco Doko Amansonaya. Kake Banco President Amansonaya. Having the learning small company in Gamin lead and then the CEO academy to build among easy. That must be a stick and carrot approach. I bet again all the No, that's not. I'll wait again how much lag at that. Because you are dealing with different stakeholders. Mamonala interest them. So it ain't mean you will yet take gaming kama. What am I wanting? Yes, Paul Yata Dami. In your tongue. A kilometer 94. You know far back.
Oh yeah.
Very, 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 very bad history.
And the war is still on.
It's still on. Munaketa? Bila waje aketa munake? Falindere domandi. Ah nyatili banku do ko. Yes, model BJ disappeared, model Canadian. But yeah, about the soldier. But man and Kafa as an example. Yeah. Mauritius Jube. Yeah. Example.
Yeah, Mauritius, yeah.
Nasa Nisa Balakadi. Wala economy Jube at Tono Nyame. But for Yaton go to me and go up a sonal co. Ninem Bekeletene, a direction of Dinga Bolanoma. What direction of Buffalo is static. Is that why Manta? You can see Alekacha, Nimantara Tamaka, Nimantara Tamaka, Fali. Mimbitang okay. Dunia can evolve. Don't go for an evolve because times are changing. Because you can mold them mold Kafalin every day. Yeah. Ila demands will Kafalin every day. You cannot just predict people every day. So you need to also be aligned. Mold needs all. Is it policy that I will be here for some day? Mold for Kura la Fanina. Yeah, funny, but mold again.
Somebody just sent in a question here. Said since you work for OIC, you never receive salary. Why none of you decide you don't want salary from the OIC?
Very OIC in Gambia. It was very new. Kudila Masakunda Bulu. So Kada Masakunda Makwe at that time to rebuild the country was more important than the money than the Posokono. At least more sometimes the Kawasale. Gambia passport and Bendable. Nakatale, Gambia, Malaka Diam Jamatola. OIC is only one of the things that have been Gambia, Masakunda. Okay? Nanaman Kulta, Magia Fekele, BJ, volunteer, number of Angadi and Gaisan. And it's such a national team when I was working in Stanch at Gambia. So, never Gambia, no opportunity to serve my country, I will serve my country. Not because of eventual. So, Market Unkolo Kama, Nakano Minkama, Purna Bombe, Numinkono, Nabanko Faling, Aduko create youth soldier, a millionaire create Gambia from the OIC projects. And it was a very difficult time because what was busy in the project Iraq, but I had to make time to serve my country.
Recently, there was an issue that came up. Excuse me. Gambia passed Fenko Mansura Todu, ID card Mansura. Or people were struggling to get ID card. But it had a Kadani Mauritania to go and issue passport to people. What is your take on this? I just want to take to water. You can continue.
Omar, never ID card, Ogadi locally. Nenama is at me and go, Bankuja, me and go. And ID card, they kata Ikawuli ID card or Chikaya Sama. Then ID card you can 2 years muscle. Ntaraban in Wadu and go ID card Mansoro. So stock card Mansoro. So Ma understand I can well will Gambia some Mauritania. Why Mauritania?
So is that a misplaced priority for Barrow then?
No. It's not a priority, it's a plan.
Okay, it's a plan.
It's a plan. How can you go and issue ID card to people in Mauritania? First, how many Gambians live in Mauritania? Why not Guinea-Conakry? Why not Senegal? Why not Bissau? Why Mauritania?
So, but then, don't you think the opposition should be, held some responsibility? Because it seems like they are not there to hold Barrow accountable. Okay, for example, still now some UDP people believe the election of 2021 was stolen. But this thing is happening. What are they doing to make sure a proper check and balance is put in place, and or to find a way to put a stop to it?
No, Omar. Diaspora to vote. Claiming for, I don't know, constituency and stuff like that. Yeah, they can register Mauritania, they register on the what?
No action, yeah.
For Gambia.
Yeah.
So many we can register the diaspora. If I want to Omar Valley, but Joshua can't even you go to Canada, and you don't get then even register in diaspora, you have to can't have. Muna difference. But I'm coming for a record. Fendabako, Malonda, but it's something.
So in other words, you think this is another plan to steal election?
Oh yes, absolutely.
So if that is the case, what is UDP going to do now to in ensure to put a stop to it or do something? Because more coming for come like which means there are a lot of opposition parties in the country, but only a handful of them are vibrant, or those ones are checking. Putting government on checks and balances.
We did. I think the party has taken its position, rightful position, which is to write to the authorities and protest. And don't say what they can.
Why do you think Barrow is scared of, or Barrow Malafi or diaspora vote? Is it not a good advice? Is it because you don't get a good advice? Because diaspora is not only America and UK. Remember, there are people in Angola, there are people in other parts of African countries, and Spain and many other places. Why do you think Barrow is reluctant about this diaspora voting? What do you think? He's not very keen about it. Or do you think it's because he doesn't have much support outside?
I think so. It's the numbers. We are very active in the diaspora. So the only party that is very, very much active in the diaspora, doing things and stuff like that, is UDP. So I think one of the things that he might feel, or his advisors might say, let's block these things. Let's not allow them to register the diaspora because they have numbers.
So another thing that always come out is like UDP has a lot of supporters, but it requires a firebrand leader, like somebody who is going to take this man on, because come like the leadership that has been there is always like restrain when the person you are dealing with is violating the law. So does UDP need a radical leader or
no?
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. Look, the profile of our leader speaks for itself. Right? And he has done that for 27, 28 years this year. So we respect him for that. And I don't think his profile has to change, or the leadership profile has to change to be somebody who, like what, fighting every day, or what? Call people to go to the street and burn houses and do that. We are a democratic party. We follow rule of law. Whatever the law says, we'll do that.
So, but if you're a democratic party, you follow rule of law, but how about if you have a sitting president who tramples on the rights of your supporters or key members, and sometimes if the public did not make certain noise, there can be travesty of justice.
Yeah, but we go to the courts. That's why you have the courts. You don't believe in the courts? You have to believe in the courts. That's our job, to believe in the courts, to support the judicial process. Now, what happens in the courts, that's not, we don't control that, right? But at least it's on record that we challenge these decisions in court. And if you're a law-abiding citizen or a law-abiding party, that's what you do. You go to the court to challenge the decision that you feel is not right. But you don't go into the street trying to disrupt or destroy people's property. No, we are not in politics to cause chaos or to destroy people's property. We are in politics to add value to people's life, to improve Gambians' livelihoods. And the best way to do that is to respect the law. So tomorrow when you're there, people will respect the law. But if you start breaking the law, if you lead tomorrow, people will dissent. So don't do to others what you don't expect people to do to you. So respect the law. And if you have any grievance, we have a very clear avenue for that. And the provisions are clear in the Constitution.
Gambia is a very fractured country. No doubt about that. People are divided,
Polarized.
It's polarized. It's so many things going on there.
Yeah.
So how many years, how many months, how many days do you think it's going to take to fix that problem?
Again, nyatonko beto ka fanya mala fani. Nyatonko mi yarango abinala e gamionol be ke client. Abe fanya mala fani. Yara nyinshi problem obe nyatonko problem. 2021 then I stop. I'm better. I have sisters me and go by my so me they will against the until the Nato go me and we can follow a tribalist about tolerance. La musuh follow me bank and so we will against the other Mandingas. But funga most of the mean in Molbe Nati. Nasi Nakacha. Near Gambia Tamil like a bossy over it. Senegal election located tribal Kumoje. But in by was a minute of the Majangal, do Lamusudo coming for? Why? Control the political kernel on substance, on issues, on ideology. Nanyo sa bola. Socialist lembang, social democrat lembang, liberal lembang, democrats lembang, conservatives lembang, Republicans. That's your party ideology. Bula udoma. Nanyo sa bola mumbe Gambia sambala. Ni mandinga jola kurel mo nga bula. Dolle dinda, dolle ka ñoo kulli. Dolle ka ñoo futusi. Ni sa wagada mbele kata. We are neighbors. And we are Muslims. We are brothers and sisters. Why every time young political will direct Ninsika, Muntuma Langolo? Muntuma. Manya Nationala. Now stop. Nila Tagambe do Kulambo follow address. Wouldn't be addressed to Yadi, maybe Tamika Nyato, will never stop. You can have.
So Allah party leader has been tamed because this has been said that for past 20 years, Gambians were getting news from only one source before the advent of this internet and so on. And your party leader has been branded. Come like there's this misconception in America. Come here, for Allah Musulman but people always branded him. like they said, butterflies in Mexico, when they blow their wings, it causes tornado in America, which is not true. So this is a misconception, myth that people believe in, but it doesn't happen. Abukake, butterflies, when they flick their wings, it doesn't cause tornado in America. So what is the way forward to change this perception for people, Gambians? About especially those who have those fan codes. Because they try to stitch that tribal issue, but they won't tell you he's incompetent or he's corrupt. So what do you think is the way to change that perception? No, because the reason why I'm asking, because it's something that is going to indent on the party, and it might come onto haunt the party in the long run.
Omar,
okay,
Hani is moneke. Me important to be. Damelo nyante me nyini kala. Ngatami. Full left in direction. Jumali bon knowledge. Ghana si jube, Ghana a jube, Ghana couleur jube, Ghana region jube. Jumali ben bon knowledge. Ninga nati, no definition okay. Discussion to Kelako, people keep telling me, what do you mean? The oldest party today is what? Apart from after the suspension is done. The dwelling at all.
Well, he has been, it's like a musical chair. He's here today. My brother see there is another.
But it's more
yeah.
I open going for it, so yeah.
So, but when you hear this, okay.
So, from a song, ko banko bukatama siela.
Yeah.
Oh, no. From a song ko, Dolby Gambia Lambole. Ati le tam no tamando mi afata ideology. Wana na laja. Sanneh na ni sanyu walzi basukuna fale.
Midterm election is coming.
So it's normal. Opposition no man get enmity.
Yeah.
So I stop ninsi fatam fansu go nga stop. How better? Aten sambala kamurundu komale.
Here is one thing that people don't want to talk about it. Sometimes the same thing back to Dabo. Ne Usain Dabo biji onte malafi UDP la o Usain Dabo malafa, but ne Usain Dabo tije mebero file. So when you hear these kind of things as a member of the party, what comes to mind?
No, get engaged. Dabo la problem. Yalla Omar, mo ñata sonna ko kula. Din Dabo no ñata ko jawal ndef dara jang bi. Ñim pati faade bi rek.
Yeah.
Moy min no alay min diala songala. Isa ko ñawonya sonko ay kudo min fana son dañu na la diala. Bisu no ñata ko ya pati goro téléphone fu dara jang bi. Duma be ñata ko ya bari be 18 seats in parliament. Do I have a before chairman of just the recent elections? For Dolby. But he's put the team together. Based on that, what is important? Banco, Mimba Bundila. You can't be the Juan but the Kafugo and Kebano, Nabonji, and Becca Fire. What did one la into the ideology? You can fend on Jube. Because he was mad, so for idea of a no. But you know, I who continue without Useno, without Useno. So Kala was in for that analysis when you make a fire. And he would a good old.
Somebody is asking, Ako, my question for my brother is, Ako, how do UDP plan to use the Gambia armed forces in terms of infrastructure and food self-sufficiency?
Look,
so they win election.
Look, very good question because when you follow na structural for I talked about the police, this stuff like that. They have capacity to do something. Invest in it. They can do mechanic. They can do mason. Build a construction company, electrical company, and the electrical side. They can do a lot of work. and they will be paid like any other construction company. That will enhance the wealth of the army. It has happened. Police used to have a construction wing. The military has some electrical wing. I remember Lawrence Jara and Co used to be engineers in the army.
So, this has been a long interview. So finally, what's going to be your message to Gambians?
I'm coming for it. If you want to say, na banko fale, na yudi masakuna tamindi, na jube, na fole, ko ala juse la nyata ko yakoto. Budget onye, intaga estimate of the last election was about 3.2 billion. The until the 2020 budget. And 40% of that was going to go into food production. The other 40% was going to health, and 20% was going to go into agriculture. For the first year, then you can repeat that. So Neota by equation, 1.25 billion for 5 years. In the healthcare. L'hôpital in Gambia, you don't have like a structural law. L'hôpital in Biji, Birkama, ya upgrade to referral hospital. Man some hospital ya upgrade. Jana Sibanor, Jana Farafaya, Bansa, Kuntaur Basse. You will reduce the pressure on Banjul. You can get the same treatment in Banjul. Pressure with hand.
Yeah.
You take part of that money, no soul, doctor, teacher, here at your cuff, custom officer, here cuff, productivity be cuff.
Yeah.
New worker, Masakunda man need to tax from cuff because you get a compliance level share. When compliance share, move with your because you have enough money to pay some of these things. So UDP Masakunda is going to be based on a productive economy. Jahal Pachal, Sapo, Jina, area and baby Jamana Dokotlala. So those are the things that we want to focus on to produce and export. While we export, the current deficit need, current account need, now restructure again. At least Natala. That is the finance system also. People will buy our products. But today, everything we do, we import. So, Daniel, Makachala, Nimbakacha continent, I think, Nantaka Yankata was on the mal. I try and Ajube, Menabanko Dokulame. Na si Franso Bondi, India Mason Abon Tema, be Dunia Katanaman, Macoman, the Macadam Lacoman. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have a few questions. I know you will not be able to answer, Fenko. Let me see if I can. Femi Mahoney, Omar Wally, please answer my question. Okay, I'm going to answer your question now. Is this the first introduction for Lawyer Davo's successor? As you know, I don't speak for them. Somebody is saying, is this your introduction? But as you know, he's one person at all that he's going to contest for presidency. Talib Bensouda name always pop up. Yankuba Dabo name comes up. So there are many people in the party, many Alonko, they always say those people want to succeed with Senator Dabo. So somebody is also asking, the army should be reoriented. So I know we just say this, but when it comes to the Gambia Armed Forces, somebody is talking about the orientation, given their full independence. So is that something you people are going to look into?
But the army has a purpose.
Yeah.
Clearly, it has a purpose. So you have to respect that. You can reorient and create branches in the army to have more value for the country, which we just talked about, where they can make money for themselves by becoming contractors, mechanics, and engineers.
Thank you so much. Abarkabake. Madul Wolem Lamin Sanneh, formerly OIC. I know so many questions are coming here, but we have to end it here because we spend so much time here. So, Alabarkabake for another time. Thank you so much.